Welcome to another episode of the Multifamily Collective, brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, and we are live in Las Vegas at Apartmentalize 2025. Today, I am joined by Jared Sanders, president of CBX Connect, which is a service provider and internet network management services for the multifamily industry. Jared has spent his career in the communications and technology industry, working with customers such as AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Core Spaces, Virgin Health, RealPage, and Edward Rose. That's quite the list. Definitely. He is owned technology, communications, and life safety, and now leads CBX Connect, where he and his business partner are looking to bring transparency and simplicity to this topic that we are about to talk about. It's critical to the success of our communities, but also can be so complex and so frustrating. Jared, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's great to be here. I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's I think to really understand why CBX has taken off so quickly, we gotta acknowledge, the transformation that we're in here as an industry, and just how quickly things are changing, right? If you think about it, the whole reason we're here is to deliver this heightened level of experience to our residents. And that's exactly why CBX was created. It's in our name, completely better experience. Like that's who we are.
I love that.
But if I try to, frame this and give it some context, we are a generation of people that grew up with dial-up modems and phones connected to the walls that are tailoring to a generation that is always connected and never has known a time without, constant connectivity, right? The computers that are in their pockets are a lot of times more advanced than like our high school curriculum. So it's, it can be a very complex topic, but where CBX really shines, I think, is our ability to bring transparency and simplicity to this topic.
Yeah, you said a word there that I want to key off of, and that is simplicity. But there's often a lot of confusion around this topic that we're going to talk about in these, internet service models. I think there are 3 or 4 different terms as it relates to this topic. I'm wondering if you can just give us a simple definition of each one of those things and unpack each one just a little bit.
For sure. I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of tech talk and jargon that exists around this topic. And I think the easiest way to look at this is to think of it as like a natural evolution of the internet, right? You started out with these large internet service providers that came into communities, and they wanted to sell traditionally directly to the residents. And as community, managers, we were happy with doing that because it's kind of hands off, right? It's very technical. We'll let it go to the experts, and so hopefully lower the risk. But and then the other thing is there was this kind of illusion of choice, right, in doing that. But I think as that evolved, what we found was there was a lot of risk in it, because if it went south or didn't perform, it translated to bad reviews, poor leasing, that type of thing. And so ushered this era of bulk internet, right? It was a way of allowing the communities a way to exercise more control over this really crucial utility. But then, that's all bulk internet is you bring one large pipe to the property and you divide it up amongst all the residents. But then the problem becomes like, well, who manages that? Right. So, we're asset managers, and we're, professional community managers. We're not like IT technicians.
That's right. That's not a hat we wear.
Exactly. So that's where managed Wi-Fi then entered the scene, where you had experts like CBX that our entire mission was let's provide stellar quality of service, and not just to the residents, but to the community managers, the asset managers, the whole team, right, all the way up. So that way everyone understands that not only are they getting a great experience, but they're getting a great value at the property.
That's right. Yeah. I think transparency is super important as it relates to that kind of thing.
For sure. That's exactly right. And that's an area that, CBX really focuses on.
Yeah, definitely. I want to shift gears just a second. We went through, let's say, the last 10 or 15 years plus minus where the smart home became a thing.
Yeah.
Now we're shifting into this sort of AI driven home. Unpack that for us. I think that's a super interesting concept.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, so like the future isn't coming, like it's here.
Yeah.
Right. We're in this world now where it's not just smart devices that are operating, it's entire smart calendars and routines, and
right.
It's in this world now where your calendar is booking appointments for you or negotiating your cell phone bill.
That's right.
And it's getting wild, right? But what that means is it just further reinforces the need to partner with someone who is trustworthy, transparent, and can really shepherd you through this era of transformation in the right way.
Yeah. Do you think so? Obviously, consumers are going to have an expectation as it relates to this sort of AI driven world.
Yeah.
And operators are going to have to show up and meet that, right? Like Amazon ruined the world with delivery, Netflix ruined the world. Right?
Yeah.
So we have this sort of like, I want it right now expectation.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the consumer's expectation as it relates to this? And how do we prepare for that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I was listening to one of the MMN podcasts just earlier today, and they were talking about stats from, just the survey responses in the last year. And they were like, hey, look how our residents changed their definition of timeliness, right? It went from like, hey, are you getting back to me timely to like, are you getting back to me now?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that just, again, reinforces the need, the expectation, I guess, that our residents have today, which is always on, always connected, and it has to be reliable.
That's right. That kind of leads us into another topic, let's call it bandwidth. I imagine all these connected devices are going to require a tremendous amount of bandwidth in order to deliver that service to the end user, right?
Yeah.
How does an operator think about future-proofing themselves for this expanding need for bandwidth, just an insatiable need for it? How do you prepare yourself and future?
Well, one of the things I just want to start with here before I get into that is something that's very important to CBX, and that's transparency, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone has heard or been approached with the topic of you need a 10 gig internet to your property to compete nowadays.
Yeah.
But the data actually shows that like at full leasing in major data usage environments like college and student housing, we're seeing 2 to 5 gigabit internet circuits at full leasing, right? So where CBX kind of differs ourselves from the rest of the market is, don't get me wrong, we totally agree that world is coming, right?
Yeah.
But where our approach is a little bit different is like, let's grow into that. Let's not overpay for services today when you don't necessarily need them.
Yeah.
And let's step into that when the time is right. Now, to your point, and I think what our listeners are probably really interested in hearing is like, what's coming. So we'll touch on that. And by the way, this isn't me talking here. This is Deloitte. This is World Broadband Association. So like, this is neutral third parties. This is not me pushing an agenda. But to give you some idea here, where we're at today, you've got on average, 25 devices per household that are connected. Yeah. But where we're going in the next 5 years is double that, right? So imagine, it's in order for that to happen, the types of devices that are connecting just naturally have to change.
Yeah, that's
And along with that, the amount of bandwidth that they require to operate changes with it. So
yeah,
a great example of that is like today we all use HD video like every day, right?
yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, podcasts, webcams, all this type, right? That uses on average about 3 megabits per second in bandwidth. Okay.
Okay.
Now, where we're going by 2030 is HD video now is on the decline. What's mature is more 4K video, which uses like 50 megabits per second, which it's like, okay, well, that's still not bad.
Yeah.
But what's growing is 8K video, which uses 300 megabits per second. So, I mean, in 5 years' time, we're like 10x
Yeah.
just in that vertical alone. Then you add into it some of these like stalwart devices that we've all known for years, PCs, gaming consoles, all that type of stuff. Those, believe it or not, start to enter the decline phase of their life cycle. And what backs them up then is virtual reality, cloud gaming, things of that nature. And then what's most interesting is what's then on the rise. So it's stuff like we haven't even heard of. It's like 3D live television, which, by the way, if we get into that, you're talking about like 5 gigabits per second of data. So, I mean, again, like I said, we certainly wholeheartedly believe that we're in this world where it's exponential, in terms of the amount of bandwidth that's coming. And I tell my customers all the time, like, it used to be, we used to think of 1 gigabit per second as like, dude, we'll never get there, And nowadays it's like, we're going to be talking 15, 20 gigs before the end of our careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just have to get ourselves mentally ready and embrace it, which is something that I think this industry has done really well.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think there are some areas of this business where we are certainly ahead. There are a lot of areas where we're behind. I think there are certainly opportunities where we can leapfrog. We can just skip entire generations of technology and get to the next thing.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm always quite interested in the future. You've talked about a future of bandwidth consumption related to the tech that we're going to be presented in our lives. But talk to me about, how does an operator stay ahead of these trends? I mean, you obviously want to future-proof yourself. You obviously want to be ahead of the consumer in terms of providing a service to them that they're going to want to stay around for. How do you stay ahead?
That's a great question. And there's, every day the gap grows, right? Yeah. And so it's why it's so important to align yourself with a technology partner like CBX, shameless plug, but for real,
Sure.
That's what it is. That allows you the ability to stay up on these trends as they change. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a great example. When's the last time that a service provider came to you and said, like, good or bad, this is your portfolio, like this is how you're doing? Probably never.
Rarely, super rarely.
Yeah. So again, back to that transparency model that CBX is known for. Like, I literally have it on my phone right here. Like, this is a portfolio of properties. It's about 30,000 beds that we manage today. And I can show you, of those 30,000 beds, we've got 20 open issues.
Unreal.
And now
right there in your palm of your hand.
Right there in the palm of my hand. Now, if we sucked, it would, excuse my language, but like it's live, right?
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that you should expect as a property owner and operator, because if you don't have that information readily available at your fingertips, how are you going to build smarter? How are you going to know whether or not it makes sense to invest in this amenity versus that amenity?
That's right.
Those are the ways that you stay ahead, and you only get that by partnering with, someone that's trustworthy that gives that information to you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just to wrap, I think it is always incumbent upon good operators to partner with very good business partners or supplier partners because of that knowledge, right? Yeah. And that knowledge transfer cuts down on a lot of mistakes that we might make otherwise, right?
100%. Yeah.
So, just to end cap, where can people find you these next couple of days here in Las Vegas?
Yeah. So we, again, tailoring on this whole like difference model, like we don't do booths.
Yeah.
So we're roaming the show. We've got meetings set up. if hit us up on LinkedIn. Reach out to us on Facebook, our internet. Anything along those lines, and we'll be around. But we've got plenty of time to sit down and grab coffee, lunch, whatever it is.
Awesome. Jared, I really appreciate your time.
Likewise, man. Really
right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.